And we're off. Another episode of Jays and Confused. We are joining you right after the Celtics 112 to 96 victory over the Toronto Raptors. We are the third seed once again. Matt, there's been two games since we last spoke. Both victories, back to back. I'm sure we're feeling better than last time.
It feels good. It really does. Yeah, that win over Miami was very nice. I thought both games there was a little bit of up and down where we kind of let our foot off the gas for a minute, and then seeing us kind of like bring back a commanding lead to close out the games. Yeah, I'm very happy with those two wins. It feels good to be back on top, continue our winning ways after two really disappointing losses to Milwaukee and then Detroit.
Yeah, we have a couple easier games coming up. I know two games versus the Pacers next week. So if we can just kind of win the games we're supposed to win, we can put some separation between us and the rest of this like dog pile in the middle of the East right now.
Yeah.
Um, let's start with Luca Garza because I feel like that was what you were texting me most about during this game.
Luca Garza was insane during this
Not a
game.
rotation player the last 11, 12 games.
His last appearance,
Comes
I
in.
believe I saw this somewhere, was like November 29th. And then he came in and got 9 offensive rebounds. I honestly feel like he should have gotten credit for like two more. Um, yeah, that was I don't know off the top of my head. I think like that was the best offensive rebounding performance I've seen this year from anybody on any team. I'm sure somebody like a Duran or something maybe have had more at some point this season, but coming off of that stretch of not playing, not being in the rotation, and being able to come in, I think it's fascinating. I'm ready to give Joe Mazzulla like an A plus 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 for this season. I don't know
Great
what
year.
the fuck he's doing with his rotations. I don't know. Like we've played much bigger teams where it felt like we needed the size, and Luka Garza wasn't in the game, and he chooses to throw him out there in this game against Toronto, who wasn't playing super big. And holy cow, did it pay dividends? We out rebounded them by I think close to 20. 19 more rebounds. Just absolutely brutalized them on the offensive glass, courtesy almost exclusively of Luca Garza, and that was really impressive to watch.
Yeah, I feel like this was kind of the perfect matchup for him because Toronto's a team where they don't have a fast guard who can pick on him on offense. And if you notice, the whole time he was out there, we were pretty much in a zone the whole time to make sure he didn't have to play man on man. So there was just no chance of him getting in like an island against Quigley. I know in our last episode, I kind of called for this just to take a brief victory lap. That I said we should start pairing his minutes with Minot's off the bench because a lot of things Minot does well, Luka Garza does poorly, and vice versa. And figuring out this backup big man situation has kind of been the biggest hurdle so far this season for Joe. I do still feel like this was kind of just an extension of the Luka Garza experience, where he's a great limited minutes guy. His strengths are super strong. Like he's a great screen setter, great offensive rebounder. But then his weaknesses are just kind of always still there, where he's not a good one-on-one defender and he just doesn't get defensive rebounds. In
It
this
is weird.
game,
He's almost allergic to them.
I've been watching him and I think it's that he's so slow turning where when he's on offense, he's always tracking the ball and he's facing the hoop and he can see the ball go up, judge the angle, run in at that angle and get the ball. But when he's on defense, he's facing the other way, so he can't really track the ball. And he's not a super tall or athletic guy, so he's not going to just out jump everybody. His offensive rebounding takes a lot of planning, and you can kind of see him do it when he's tracking. But in this game, we were able to put him out there with Minot and Hugo pretty much the whole time. And those are two guys who have really excelled defensive rebounding. So they were kind of able to cover up those holes and offer like just enough rim protection that he was playable out there. I just don't know how repeatable it's going to be when we're going up against a team that didn't really have any big men on it. And it's a team that didn't have a ball handler that really scares me. And even with that, we had to change our defensive scheme and put very specific lineups around him to keep him out there. So I don't know. Do you see us using Garza in the coming weeks and months? Like, is he our backup center now?
I wouldn't go that far. I think Joe has Joe has shown a tendency to be very eager to ride the hot hand. We've seen him adjust lineups based on, like Josh Minot started the season really hot, made his way into the starting lineup, and then Jordan Walsh started really showing himself, and he was in the starting lineup. We've seen it with the way he closes games. If it's basically the fifth man out there is whoever played the best that game. Um, and so I think this could earn Luka Garza more playing time, or at least like more appearances. Again, he didn't play in a game for weeks. But I do agree with you that it is kind of matchup dependent, that we have to find teams in which they can't exploit his weaknesses necessarily. I think if anything, this might have earned him much more limited minutes. I think he played 26 minutes tonight. I think the only way I see him doing that type of thing with any regularity is if we're facing those kinds of teams that don't have that like quick ball dominant guard who can get past him and kind of punish him for not being quite as good a rim defender. But I think pairing him with Josh Minot and maybe sending those kind of units out there for like 4 minutes at a time, interspersed in games, might be something we play around with. And it could be something that is, again, very matchup dependent of like, oh, the other team's putting their bench in, their like ball dominant guard is going to rest for a little bit. We'll put Luka Garza out in those minutes and then pull him when that guard comes back in. Or depending on like what they're doing with their big man rotation on the other team. So I do think like he brings a welcome element of like again I think he was a difference maker in this game. I don't know that we win this game or win like with
Tremendous game. We don't
yeah,
win this one.
without his offensive rebounding, it really changed the flow of the game. Again, kind of like blew an early lead going into that second quarter and going down into halftime. Um, so I think he showed enough to show that he can be a very useful piece. I don't know that he made his way into like rotation player, just based off of again a fantastic performance, but it's just he is like a really kind of like he's a I don't know why my mind is going to like Alton Brown. He hosted Cutthroat Kitchen and some other like cooking shows, and he's a big like food science guy. And he's like, the one thing I don't want in my kitchen is a tool that only does one thing. Like every kitchen utensil should be able to do 5 different tasks or something like that. Luca Garza is kind of a like he can do one thing, not literally because he can
Ninja
screen really
Creamy.
well. Yeah. Um, but yeah, he's not as versatile as the rest of our guys, and I think that is limiting his playing time more than anything else. And a lot of it is like physical stuff. Like I don't know that he can. There are certain things that guys can work on. I don't know that Luca Garza can work on like improving his defensive rebounding that much in the middle of the season, or becoming a better rim defender that much in the middle of the season. So I think he's going to be like a spot guy where we're going to like pick and choose where we think which matchups he's going to be good against. I was
I'd
really
love to see
surprised
us
to see him
use
play this.
him a little bit more like we had Enos Cantor a few years ago, where he
Yeah,
kind of comes in for like a 90-second stretch,
and gets three
gets two
rebounds.
buckets, three rebounds, and then we have to immediately pull him.
Yeah.
I could see that being his role. I'd also like to officially submit Ninja Creamy as Luca Garza's nickname.
Um. um. Okay.
I'm
So
just playing.
here,
You don't have to say yes or no.
yeah, I'm not gonna say yes or no. I will push back on it
You're
just in
not
this.
saying no, but we can
Yeah.
move on.
Here's my only response to that is Can we give him a nickname that has the word ninja in it when he clearly just lost in Joe Mazzulla Fight Club, judging by the black eye he
The
was wearing
black
in this
eye I
game?
also needed to bring up.
Yeah, we're gonna talk
What's
about
going
Joe
on with
Mazzulla
the
Fight
black
Club now.
eyes?
Um,
Like, Hugo is covered in cuts and scrapes.
all over his neck, Hugo has had cuts for the past couple games. We
Sam
know
Hauser
Sam
had
Hauser.
a black eye, and then he came back with two black eyes.
Yep.
We don't see Luca Garza for a while, then comes in with a black eye. That
Yeah.
looks like it was like an old black eye. Like it had started to turn yellow.
Yeah.
So like he got hit like a week or two ago.
Yeah, I did see that they released, I don't know from when this video was originally taken, but I've seen it floating around like NBA Twitter and everything like that. There's a video of the Celtics in practice. And the whole point of the video and why it was released in the caption and everything was like, look how hard these guys are going in practice. And they're like boxing out hard, like they're jumping for rebounds. They're going full speed, full energy in this practice. It could be just that, like, they go really intense during Joe Mazzulla's practices with the sound of bombs falling being played over Joe Mazzulla's stereo, and somebody catches some elbows or whatever. But I think you might have been right about Joe Mazzulla Fight Club. Like, I really, really do.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, whenever Joe Mazzulla doesn't get less crazy when there aren't national TV cameras on. You know, that's not an
yeah.
act for the cameras. He is that insane of a guy. It's also interesting that this is kind of the first season in a while where they've really gotten practice time mid-season
Yeah, the 2 games in
because
11 days stretch
yeah,
is crazy in an
easy.
NBA season.
Because it used to be like a night off game for 4 or 5 months. But this year, because the NBA Cup and a few others, these like kind of special days the NBA is trying to make, we have these big weeks off. And I thought it was interesting over the 2 games in 11 nights. A lot of people expected Hugo to spend some time with the G League because they were playing games that whole time. And it was one of those spots on the calendar where you could send a rookie or a second year guy down just to get some reps. But Joe Mazzulla didn't send them. And I think part of that was to get Hugo, and I mean he could have sent Baylor Shireman too, but like to get those guys in practice with the rest of the team, um, because I think he sees them as part of the rotation. Like if they were the 12th guy, they probably would have gotten sent down.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not Amari Williams went down. I would be curious about that, but I also
Well, I
think
think he's stayed down. He's just been there.
yeah, I think it wouldn't be fair to the G League, frankly, to throw Ugo in there. I think they got to keep some parity and some competitive balance, and Ugo Gonzalez would have tipped the whole league.
Hey, we're
Um,
already got to shout out Maine Celtics franchise record win streak right now.
yep,
Shout out Phil Pressey.
yep. Shout out Phil Pressey. Shout out our guy
Celtics
Ron
great.
Harper Jr. Got my eyes on you. Still believe he can be a useful piece at the NBA level someday. Um, but yeah, so I do think Joe Mazzulla used that time to get them into some full speed, full contact NBA practices. And then after practices, they went into somebody's basement and did Fight Club, and that's how Hugo got his neck scratched up, and that's why everybody's wearing black eyes. Jaylen Brown was listed as out tonight with an illness, but who can really confirm that? Could have just caught a left hook from Sam Hauser. We don't really know. So hope that everybody's recovering well. I think it was interesting to see Luca Garza to like circle back into NBA stuff. Um, he, Keita caught some nasty falls yesterday against the Heat. He got
Tonight
undercut a
too.
couple times, yeah. And so I was wondering if Luca Garza was playing more minutes to give Keita a little bit more time off. But we've seen like Keita hurt his ankle or had like a lower leg thing a couple weeks ago, and Luca Garza still didn't crack the rotation. So who's to say? But I thought it was a brilliant move using Garza that way tonight. I think that it brought up my favorite question to ask after a Celtics game, which is like, whose game was that? Because you could be like, Luca Garza won us that game, but also like Peyton
It was
Pritchard
Peyton
in the
Pritchard's
second
game.
half won us that game. But like, I don't know that we win that one without Luca Garza. I don't know if we win that one without Hugo. I don't know. Like Derek White came out very aggressive. Didn't shoot the ball super well, but his shots were very timely. He was aggressive. Jaylen Brown was out. It felt like he understood what he had to do. And in that fourth quarter, kind of came alive too, and really helped us like seal this one and close it out. So yeah, there were just tonight was a night where Anthony Simons had a really good game tonight. Cato was solid, not huge on the boards, which was interesting, but yeah, it just felt like every single guy had like a piece of this win tonight, except
Do
for
you think
probably Sam Hauser. But
the issue
everybody
with
else,
asking whose game is this after each Celtics win is that 90% of the time the answer is going to be Jaylen Brown, and then 5 and 5 is probably going to be Peyton Pritchard or Derek White. That we kind of came into the season knowing who the top players each night are going to be,
yeah,
and what's more interesting to talk about is the guys who are kind of breaking into the NBA this year down the roster, the Hugos, the Jordan Walshes. But I mean, 33, 7 and 10 was just the engine of our offense tonight. The fact that he got 10 assists, but every possession was just powered by Peyton Pritchard getting into the paint, kicking it out, relocating, getting it back, touching the paint. Like his ability to be the backbone of an NBA offense, even if it was just for a night, um, was the main reason we won this game.
yeah, and he's been struggling in the month of December shooting wise. So it was good to see him kind of go off for one. I would also say Derek White, it feels like, has spent the last kind of 10 games or so, like really like he's it seems like really trying to make an all-star case for himself. Again, like had a poor shooting night, only ended up with 15 points on 20 shots, but again, his shots were really timely last night. Made NBA history, first player with 9 made threes and 4 blocks, 33 points last night. Derek White has really like found his aggressiveness in a very fun way. So it is
Are
nice to
you
see those guys
voting?
around Jaylen Brown stepping up as well.
Are you voting him for All Star?
I am, yeah, for sure.
Is that biased of you? Who's your five if you're voting him for All Star?
My unbiased five:
Yeah, you're
Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Jordan Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez, and Enias Queta. No,
great answer.
I don't know who my five is, honestly. In the East, like you've got to put Cade.
Yeah,
Um, Tyrese Maxey is making a hell of a case. Um,
Giannis.
Giannis. Well, Giannis is like it's the games played. I think it's like
He's already hit the for All Star. He's in.
yeah, yeah. It's just it's kind of like Giannis is gonna make it, and the fan vote doesn't count for the reserves. So it's kind of if you want your vote to have as much of an impact as possible, like for starters.
You don't think Giannis is a starter for the All Star game?
I think he is. I think he's gonna make it regardless, and there are guys who like as reserves might not have as much of a chance.
You heard it here first. Jordan Walsh is better than Giannis.
This isn't the first place it's been said, but
Okay, let me ask
um,
you this question.
yeah,
Has Hugo Gonzalez taken Jordan Walsh's starting?
no.
Closed both, he supplanted him to close the last two games. Tonight, Jordan Walsh played 13 minutes, 0 points, 4 rebounds, 0 assists, minus 15. Hugo, 28, 10 and 10, plus 37.
28 minutes,
28 minutes,
10
plus
points, 10
30.
rebounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
first double double plus 30. I mean, his on off numbers, he has the highest plus minus of any rookie in the NBA.
Yeah.
So obviously he should be rookie of the year.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. We're way past that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Um,
closed book. Cooper Flag, I'm so sorry it's not your year. Um,
but we've kind of seen these guys who a lot of players in the NBA who are on that fringe and we're kind of considering like diamonds in the rough. A lot of them can be great 3 or 4 games in a row. A
Yeah.
lot, everybody in the NBA has flashes of being a great basketball player. It's the consistency that lets you stay around. And we saw um, Josh Minot early in the season. He had that 12 game stretch where he looked unstoppable. He looked incredible on defense. He was getting every rebound.
He
He
was
was
a
just
backup center, like effectively. Yeah.
I mean, he became the backup center after that, but when he was starting the Jordan Walsh role, and then he kind of slowly phased out, and we saw Joe Mazzulla not being afraid to just switch Jordan Walsh in there. Like that fifth starting spot has kind of been whoever has been the "what have you done for me lately" role. And if we look at who out of those three guys has played the best lately, it's been Ugo.
Um, I think that Joe Mazzulla and the way he uses lineups and rotations creates such an intense recency bias of like we are not very far removed from Jordan Walsh having like one of the most efficient streaks in NBA history, like over 3 games for a non-center. Um, I think like Jordan Walsh having 2 bad games in a row doesn't mean he should lose his starting spot. And I would argue like not 2 bad games in a row. I thought it was weird that he really didn't touch the floor much in the second half. Um, his plus minus numbers were bad because he was in during that stretch where Toronto went on like an 11-0 run and like I don't know like this was a small sample size. Like he played yesterday and I thought he was phenomenal against Miami.
He
Played great
also
defense on Bam. Like
I mean,
I
in the
think
Miami game, he also didn't really play in the second half. Hugo took his minutes down the stretch. It was -6 in that game. He played
yeah.
a few defensive possessions on Bam where you were like, wow, I can really see what this guy can do. But just because of the way Joe Mazzulla's been coaching, where none of these guys really have a super long track record. So, however you divide up the minutes or decide who plays, you're going to be basing it off some recency bias. And he seems comfortable going with that.
Yeah. I think part of it is also I like I think Jordan Walsh in our starting unit gives us a little bit more. Like Ugo coming off the bench, I think adds to how valuable he is, adds to like how high his plus minus is because I think he can come in against second units and like wreak havoc against maybe not like the other team's first unit, against less experienced or less talented ball handlers. He's able to get more
Saves his
steals.
fouls.
Yeah. Um, I think he still makes some kind of like rookie mistakes, like for a rookie, that I think just in the starting lineup could be a little bit more of a liability. Like Jordan Walsh is still young and hasn't proven himself in the NBA. Like in terms of like he's had more time than Ugo, but not in terms of playing time, like not a tremendous amount. But I think he's a little bit craftier and a little bit just still sees the game. He sees the game a little bit slower. Where Ugo, it feels like, is always moving a million miles an hour, and that can like it leads to great stuff. And I love every minute that Ugo is on the floor, but does like lead to some like really quick sequences of like he's got 2 fouls in 45 seconds. That I think like in a starting lineup, I could see somebody, and we saw it in the Detroit game where Cade was like, I don't like Ugo's bothering me. I'm going to get him to commit 2 fouls in 90 seconds, and then he will be taken out of the game. And so in the starting lineup, I think Jordan Walsh is a little bit less likely to jump for pump fakes. Is a little bit less like he's got some more of the like small details down on the defensive end that I think makes him more valuable around that starting lineup. And then having Ugo come in with the second unit gives the second unit a lot more punch. And Ugo also he's starting to show some confidence that's translating. Tonight he had a huge dunk where he drove in from the three
Yeah.
point line. Yeah, I texted you Ugo in all caps.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of dunk it was. But I think he's finding a little bit more confidence in the same way Jordan Walsh, when he was inserted into the starting lineup, found a little bit more confidence where they were able to like catch at the corner, do like a pump fake and then drive and either like pass to an open shooter. Like they both are developing. It seems like almost maybe not the same pace, but like similar paces. They're developing kind of
They're very
similar
similar
things.
right now.
Yeah. And so I think again in the starting lineup around like to maximize Jalen Brown and Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, like I think Jordan Walsh is the more responsible defender a little bit right now, which is why I would give him the edge. I think Ugo takes more chances, and that would lead to like Jalen Brown and Derek White and Peyton Pritchard needing to pick up another foul here and there to kind of cover for him when a guy like when he loses a guy because he's taking too big of a chance. Um, I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't think I would be upset if Ugo was slotted into the starting lineup by any means because I think he has tremendous potential and I want him to get as many NBA minutes as possible. But I also think that about Jordan Walsh, and it is kind of coming down to like, damn, all of a sudden, I remember when we started recording this podcast earlier this season, it was like, I'm so excited to extend Josh Minot, and now it's kind of like Josh Minot is getting in the way of their minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
we
and
were
when
like,
Jason
Josh
Tatum
Minot's a
comes back,
$20 million a year player.
yeah,
Like a
it's
month
now it's
ago, we
just
were saying
like
that.
once Tatum comes back, like Josh Minot better not be stepping on Ugo and Walsh's time. Like it's wild. Like this NBA season has kind of happened very quickly. It feels like for the
Yeah.
Celtics, where there are just like massive developments every 10 games, and we're still only like less than 30 games into the season. I think. Um,
Well, I think the most likely answer is that we really want to believe these guys' high watermarks are who they are as a player. Where we see like a 4 game stretch of Jordan Walsh where he breaks like efficiency records and just doesn't miss and is locking up the other team's best player. And we want to hit a button where we go, yes, let's lock it in. This is who Jordan Walsh
Jordan
is
Walsh
now.
is an 85% shooter. We
Yeah,
all know
Jordan
that.
Walsh is 85% from three, all defensive first team. Let's just lock that guy in. But with NBA players, like consistency is the best skill. And guys who are this young rarely have that type of consistency where they play at their peak level all season. It took Jalen Brown a long time to be at the point where he just scores 30 every game. We used to just see flashes of Jalen Brown scoring 30.
Yeah, he couldn't dribble with his left hand for like 7 years.
Years. Yeah, that took a while. But there we would see flashes where he would just go off and have like a 40 piece for seemingly no reason. And I think it's going to be a similar thing with Jordan Walsh and Ugo and even Josh Minot, where they'll go through these 2 or 3 week stretches where they just seem unstoppable. And then a month later, it's like, okay, he's a 10-minute off the bench guy, you know? And I
Yeah,
think
that
we're
hurts
kind
my
of
heart to
riding
imagine
those
that about.
waves.
Yeah, I think part of it, it does make me think about Josh Minot and how comparatively to how he started the season, it does feel like he's dropped off when like realistically it seems like this is more like this is who Josh Minot has been during his time in the NBA, and that was like a high that he was riding. It makes me wonder what prompted that. Like what about the system that we were running? What about like the offense? Like what about his role in it? Like what it does seem like from my perspective, the more comfortable Josh Minot got with his three, the less effective he became, which does seem contradictory. Like he started shooting the three ball better than he has in his career, and it does seem like, from what I could tell, like oh, he's just further away from the rim generally, and he's most effective when he's flying around the rim and getting putbacks and doing all those things. Um, Jordan Walsh now is finding a lot more comfort with the three. I don't think that again I don't necessarily think that there's been inconsistency in that sense though. Like Jordan Walsh has continued. He played great defense against Miami last night. Wasn't like a huge scoring presence, but maybe he's not like 15 every night. Kind of pencil it in. It seems more like a minutes thing, and again goes back to Joe Mazzulla and his rotations of like Jordan Walsh like yeah, he was a minus what like 15 today when everybody in that first half it seemed like on the starting unit was a minus 15 and the rest of the starting unit got it back because they played in the second half. And he just didn't get minutes in the second half.
He's
Um,
been bringing less chaos from my perspective. Like, we talked about this earlier, where there's kind of those three interchangeable wings. And a lot of what they bring is sort of randomness and chaos to a game where they're going to get deflections on passes and, you know, get tip out a rebound, get steals. But a lot of those things aren't repeatable efforts. So it's not like a 40% three-point shooter who you trust to always shoot 40%. It's a guy who can take advantage of opportunities that the defense gives him. And that's not going to be a every night he does the exact same thing type of player. Where recently it just seems like Hugo has been able to exploit those little holes and get these like weird little blocks and get deflections. You mentioned that the better Josh Minot's three has gotten, the less effective he is. And I don't totally agree with that, just because he really thrived as a dunker spot guy,
Yeah.
where he could just sit in the dunker spot and just be open to catch bounce passes and be open for lobs. Um, the issue with just being a dunker spot guy is you need four other good shooters on the floor to support you in that role, to have the dunker spot open. And lately it's been Kada in the dunker spot and Josh Minot spacing,
Yeah.
or Hugo in the dunker spot and Josh Minot spacing. And in the NBA, you need to be really effective in the dunker spot. Like, you need to be like, I don't know, Rudy Gobert, like just a guy who can dunk everything and doesn't shoot at all and makes up for it on defense to kind of justify that role, because there's so many guys who can do well in the dunker spot. It's kind of like you're going to get an easy 6 points a game just by standing down there waiting for Jaylen Brown to drive and bring two. So
Yeah.
I think he might be like, he's a better player when he has a three ball going in. He just might have less points because those easy buckets are going to Nemes Keita.
Yeah.
Or in this game, Luka Garza. Like, you
Yeah.
can't have six guys in the dunker spot, you know?
It would be great if we could. No, I think Jordan
They
Walsh
gotta
right
try
now
that
is finding.
offense out.
Yeah, Jordan Walsh right now is also like he's found some comfort and some familiarity, kind of getting putbacks from that dunker spot, and we're seeing that like it does seem like these wings they've weirdly had very similar trajectories this season, um, and it feels like I don't know. Do you think like let's say Ugo gets slotted into the starting lineup? Uh, I don't know what like the next step is in terms of play style or anything like that. Like if we slot Ugo into the starting lineup, I don't know that he at some point won't also just like seem like he's creating a little less chaos. And then what do we like? Do we just cycle back to Minot or do we cycle back to Walsh and just like truly rotate these three guys out interchangeably, depending on like who's got the hot hand and what
That
does
kind
that
of
do in
seems to
terms
be the
of
strategy. Like, we went this season, we started with Hauser in that spot. Then third game of the season, we switched to Ugo. Then we switched it to Minot. Then we switched it to Walsh. Um, that I think that fifth starter role could be kind of a rotating guy until Tatum comes back.
Yeah, I think that's more my issue is like when Tatum comes back, we have suddenly four wings. And we've got like Sam Hauser, who's a proven quantity, and we kind of know what he is. And then we have
Yep.
three guys who have kind of been doing like similar but different, but the same things all season and just taking turns at who's like got the hotter hand with it. And what does that mean in terms of like long term development of again, like let's make a decision. Like, are we extending Josh Minot? We still have Ugo and Jordan Walsh on these kind of rookie contracts. Like, at a certain point, just like in terms of team building, I want to know which one of these guys or which two of these guys or whatever is going to be a part of the foundation moving forward. And I think that means kind of giving them more of a solidified role.
Yeah, well, I think the basic problem, even if you solidify the roles right now and say, like, all right, Jordan Walsh getting 24 minutes, Minot's getting 22, Hugo's getting 18. Like no matter how much you solidify that, the issue when Tatum comes back is going to be that all right, there's 36 minutes that just walked in the door when he's fully healthy. I think part of it is just going to be a trade at some point. Um, and for like we've talked about, Anthony Simons is probably the most realistic contract to get moved. That's like 20 minutes. Um, I would also like to see this team play big when Tatum comes back. I know there was a lot of discussion on who goes to the bench if you insert Tatum into this lineup, and I can definitely see the argument for leaving a Jordan Walsh or a Ugo in to be that point of attack defender and taking
Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard back to the bench to kind of reprise his sixth man, score a bunch of buckets really fast role. Um, so I think we could see, even if that doesn't happen and Peyton Pritchard starts, I think we would see a lot of lineups where we're playing three or four wing type players at once, because that's where our talent is right now.
Yeah. And like it is interesting. Like that was something I was still looking at today is like we still aren't using the Jordan Walsh and Ugo Gonzalez lineups a ton.
You
And that
started
is
using
something.
the Minot um, Ugo minutes a lot,
Yeah.
which it
Well,
used to
I
be
I
just
think
one on the court at any time.
yeah, Mazzulla did an interesting thing today, which he doesn't often do, I feel like, where he was just like, I'm subbing out a whole unit at once. And I'm like, four dudes come into the game and four dudes come out. When
Well, I think that
he
was because we needed
to defend Luka
support
Garza's
guys around
weaknesses.
Luca Garza. Yeah, we needed
Yeah.
that bench lineup to work in a very specific way to allow Luca Garza to be on the court.
Which is a wild sentence when you say it of like, no, 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 the Celtics designed their game plan to protect Luka
Luca
Garza.
Garza. It worked though. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah, no, and especially in a game with no Jalen Brown, like it, we had a strategy and Joe
he
Mazzulla executed it
boosts
and it
your
worked.
offense like
Yeah,
crazy. Like I haven't looked recently, but I imagine the Luca Garza offensive rating
rating
numbers are
is
insane.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like I do have really high a really high opinion of what specifically like Minot kind of I don't see as high of a ceiling. And again, he's I think the same age as Jordan Walsh. Um
Year older, but yeah, it's
yeah.
22.
Jordan Walsh, I believe straight up like deserves all defensive consideration this year. And Hugo Gonzalez, again, he's going to be the rookie of the year, so I don't
Yeah.
know what we're talking about. No, but I mean, if genuinely, if Hugo Gonzalez gets slotted into the starting lineup and starts getting 24 to 28 minutes a game, like how likely is it he's not gonna have the counting stats, but like he might have a huge impact on winning on a team that's wildly overperforming. I don't think he's gonna be the rookie of the year, but like how much of a breakout can he have? And that's kind of like the more we let Ugo and Jordan kind of break out, the more comfortable I feel like they're going to be, even when Tatum comes back and they see their minutes get tighter. The more capable they'll be. Like, again, just getting like vastly more playing time in the last couple games. Like Ugo in the last two games had 28 minutes, I think 29 minutes last night or something close to it, which were career high in minutes for him. And today he had his first double double. Yesterday he had 8 rebounds, scored some points, and is kind of showing these flashes of like, oh, he caught a ball and now he's driving and dunking instead of just immediately looking for the pass. And just like as much playtime as we can get them and let their skills develop so that they are as useful as possible when Jason Tatum comes back and they have to play off of him. Um, yeah, just wanting to like really let these guys grow as much as possible and feeling like Ugo is really growing off the bench. And Jordan Walsh is like really growing with this starting unit as the point of attack defender, is really taking a lot of pressure off of our starters defensively and allowing them to focus on the offensive end. I think a big part of like, again, Derek White is on a hot streak trying to prove that he's an all-star in this league. And I think he's able to do that a lot more effectively because he doesn't have to guard who Jordan Walsh is guarding some games. Um,
Because at the beginning of the season, it was Jaylen Brown the first couple games trying to take on the other team's best player on defense, which it's
Yeah.
great that he can do that. Like we saw him kind of shut down Luka Doncic in a finals a
Yeah, but
few
if he's
years
doing
ago
that every night, he can also carry an
for
offense.
82
And
games as
yeah,
the leading scorer. I just don't see that being likely.
yeah.
Um,
Speaking of likely, I have a theory. I'm gonna
okay,
run this by you.
I'm ready.
I want to go back and check every Celtics game, kind of since like that hot streak started, where we just like ran off a ton of wins in a row. Um, I don't know what our winning percentage is when the first 2 points of the game are scored by Nemise Keita, either getting a layup or a dunk, but I feel like it's 1,000%. Like it
You
feels like this is
win
like
10 games for every game?
I no, I think like we win like
Yeah,
100% of
yeah.
games. Yeah. I think we might be undefeated when Misketa gets the first bucket of the game. It seems like they've really found a lot of comfort with him. Peyton Pritchard was doing some bounce passes to him off of screens tonight. Some that even were like a little too far out in front of him, and Keita was able to corral it and get to the bucket. But yeah, it seems like that's kind of our. It reminds me of Rob Williams when like hey, we're starting every game with like Marcus Smart is going to lob it to Rob Williams, and that's our first 2 points every game. And it feels like Nemise Keita has kind of reached that point of like this is our play to we don't even have to draw up and like out of timeout or whatever. Like we're catching the tip, and even if we don't catch it first possession down, we're finding Nemise Keita going to the basket, and it feels like it's a really good way to get him comfortable offensively. Um, Makes me feel really good about the playmaking that's developing and the chemistry between him and Pritchard, him and White. We've seen Jalen do it a bunch. So that was just like a little thing that I've been noticing the past few games of like, damn, Cato really is always scoring our first bucket. And so that's just like a fun little thing I noticed.
Yeah, any team like tonight where their biggest guy was 6'9", and we can just lob it over to Kada and force them to bring two on the roll is a night where we're gonna have a ton of open shots.
Yeah.
Tonight was actually kind of weird because Kada did not have a good first three quarters. Like he
Yeah.
really came alive down the stretch, but this was a rough Nemise Kada game overall, and we really haven't seen too many of those. Like I was talking about with Jordan Walsh, like a lot of times these unproven guys will go through like really high and really low stretches. Nemise Keita has been maybe the most consistent player on this team, where he's just going to give you 25 to 30 minutes of solid big man play every night. And tonight it felt like he was kind of behind the play. He was falling a lot, and then kind of came alive right at the end.
Yeah. I'm chalking that up a little bit to like he took some absolutely brutal falls last night and he
He
has been
cannot
also
get
playing.
injured.
Yeah,
He's not allowed.
we need to take care. Like he's not allowed in Joe Mazzulla Fight Club. That's how seriously we take his health. Uh, um, but yeah, no, I think
That's how
like he
seriously I
played.
take Baylor Shireman's health. Is don't let Namiskata fight him.
Yeah, okay, that's
Cause
fair. Yeah,
yeah, I
because he
take
would
everybody else's
one
health
punch from
seriously,
Nemise
but
Keita and Baylor Shireman is a headstone.
you know,
Um, yeah, no, I thought that that might have kind of been one of the reasons that he looked a little bit off. He looked slow, a little bit. He was losing balls. Um, that just kind of we saw him get tied up, land on the floor, and get a jump ball. He lost a jump ball to a guy who was shorter than him. So I was chalking a little bit of that up to like he fell really hard on his back a bunch of times yesterday. It probably is feeling a little bit sore. Still ended with 14 on 7 of 7 shooting, 5 rebounds, which isn't a ton against a Toronto team that doesn't have a lot of size. But again, like we were finding the rebounding everywhere else tonight. Um, yeah, definitely not his best game, but it seems like as long as he's not hurt and still like contributing, again, he came alive a little bit at the end there. Um, yeah, overall, like, and I thought he had a decent game against Miami again when he wasn't being undercut by Norm Powell and ending up on his back. Um, yeah, I mean, these were two very solid wins tonight without Jaylen Brown. Scal kept calling it maybe the best win of the season because of how much everybody else contributed. because Peyton Pritchard was able to go off. Derek White hit some big shots, especially later in the game. Yesterday, I got to issue a little bit of an apology to Sam Hauser. He was great. Um, Tonight he was okay. Um, but yeah, just all around, like it seems like the Celtics kind of found their footing in terms of how they want to play. They've been riding the ups and downs of like losing some leads and then finding ways to build them back. Again, credit to Joe Mazzulla for riding whatever's working, which tonight was Luka Garza and his offensive rebounding, which was playing Hugo Gonzalez 28, 29 minutes in each game. Um, yeah, I really don't understand the lineup stuff. I felt like yesterday Minot probably, I think he ended with like 7 minutes or something. I think Minot could have had more time. In this game, I was confused why Jordan Walsh was getting limited minutes. So just a little bit of unpredictability with the minutes, but if I'm confused, maybe maybe that means the other coaches too, and we'll
Listen,
go from
Joe
there.
Mazzulla sometimes works in mysterious ways.
Always works in mysterious
And
ways.
so a story came out this week that I think
Oh,
we
I'm
need
so
to
excited.
discuss.
Yep.
So I'm gonna intro it for any audience that may or may not know. Joe Mazzulla did an appearance on 98.5 The Sports Hub, which is the Boston talk radio show. And I'm gonna read the quote. It goes, "I'm trying to convince my wife to get a wolf that just kind of roams around the area of our house as kind of an extra layer of protection. When I talked to the trainer, he said that the last guy who got a wolf had it turn on him at night. And I said, that's just because he didn't have a good enough relationship with the wolf."
Yep.
I have a few things. Now, I am a little concerned that there's a slippery slope effect here, where if Joe Mazzulla gets a wolf, it's coming to practice.
It
They,
should.
yeah, the wolf isn't staying at home. It's gonna be chasing guys doing wind sprints.
Yeah.
And is that a good thing for this team? Because either we get the fastest basketball team ever, or it kills Josh Minot. But there's no in between with the wolf.
First of all, it's not catching Josh Minot. It'll catch Xavier Tillman. um, yeah, no, I think this is a perfect epitome of who Joe Mazzulla is. I love well, he just didn't build a good enough relationship with the Wolf.
Yeah,
Um,
also, who's this wolf trainer that's trying to talk you out of getting a wolf? Because if you're a wolf trainer and wolves keep turning on people, you're
I thought
not
he
a
was
wolf
talking to
trainer.
the Boston Celtics athletic trainer, like the strength and conditioning guy who was just like, oh yeah, I knew a guy who had a wolf. It didn't end that well. And Joe Mazzulla was like, nah, I don't trust that report. I believe that.
He
Listen, Joe
said the
Mazzulla.
trainer. Do you think he's just
I don't think there's one wolf trainer. I think there is the athletic trainer for the Celtics.
I think there's multiple athletic trainers. I think there's more athletic trainers than there are wolf trainers. I'll die
How
on that hill.
many? Yeah, I'm wondering how many wolf trainers Joe Mazzulla has on speed dial. I mean, this is a good question, but I also think a wolf trainer would be like, well, yeah, there is a way to build a relationship with a wolf where it doesn't turn on you. Like, I don't think a wolf trainer would be like,
Yeah, I just
no,
think
they
Joe
can't be
Mazzulla's talking to the
tamed.
wrong wolf trainer.
Yeah, so we need to get him in touch with a better wolf trainer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I do think it would help our conditioning late in fourth quarters. Nemias Queta, definitely, I think would probably get some better cardio in with a wolf chasing him. But I also think Joe Mazzulla, God, I wonder what Joe Mazzulla would name his wolf. I think it would be fantastic. I really want to see this arc in Joe Mazzulla's life completed.
Also, why is his
Um,
wife trying to stop him from getting a wolf? She knows the man she married. Like I see Joe Mazzulla and I'm like, yeah, he's gonna get, if I marry that guy, he's gonna buy a wolf at some point.
Yeah, he's
I
getting
thought that
paid too
was
well not to have a wolf, honestly.
listen, you win a championship, you get a wolf. I don't make the
Yeah,
rules.
I forget where I was listening to this, but Blake Griffin was telling a story about one of his favorite Joe Mazzulla memories. He was like he came in early to do some like strength and conditioning and shooting around and stuff, and then he just heard like like noises in the
Doing
background,
karate.
and Joe Mazzulla was just doing karate and was like, "Hey, this is my sensei." Like that's just who Joe Mazzulla is. He takes everything very seriously. I think you nailed it on the head when you were like, Joe Mazzulla doesn't lie.
No, he doesn't. He wants
When
to get
he
a wolf.
he
This
you
wasn't a bit.
really yeah, and so I
Also, I
hope
have
I
a
wish that for
correction
him.
I want
Yeah.
to just put out there for Blake Griffin. Joe Mazzulla does jujitsu. He does not do karate. So I believe that was a mistake by Mr.
Do we
Griffin.
know that Joe Mazzulla doesn't do both?
I'm pretty sure. I think Joe
Okay.
Mazzulla would be a little offended if he heard this
He
part.
is our enforcer, I will say.
Yeah.
So maybe he wants a, a variety of skill
Maybe the
sets.
wolf could be our enforcer.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Nobody's
Next time we
talking
get
shit
into
to
it with
Jalen
Bobby
Brown.
Portis,
Yeah. He's
start to
got to
hear
get it
him
registered as an
growls.
emotional support wolf so that it can come and sit on the sideline during games. Then when it starts barking at Bobby Portis, he can be like, well, Bobby, you don't have a good enough
Yeah,
relationship with
you
it.
know, relationship with the wolf.
Um, yeah, no, I think Joe Mazzulla is an absolute fucking psychopath, and I'm here for
I
every
love
second
it
of
so
it.
much.
Um,
He also hates eye contact, I've noticed. He's
mhm.
just a dude who can't doesn't like looking at other people, doesn't know what fun is, and wants a wolf.
Yeah,
I'm here
that
for
sums up the
every
head coach of
second
the
of it.
Boston Celtics, and it's great.
Great.
Um, so I was inspired by this, and I hope you'll bear with me here. But
Oh, I'm
I
here for
have
it.
I have a fun little thing that I came up with of I'm gonna match every Celtics player with the unusual pet that I feel like most suits their personality. Because I think we can both agree a wolf perfectly suits Joe Mazzulla's personality. So I'm gonna run through these, and some of them I'm gonna like have an explanation for, and some of them are gonna speak for themselves.
Okay.
At Baylor Shireman. So we're gonna start with Jalen
Can I?
Brown.
Is Baylor Shireman gonna have like a lizard? Is he gonna be a lizard kid?
It is not a lizard. I
Okay.
can
I
confirm that
want.
it
I
is
want.
not a lizard. um, so I'm gonna start with Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown gets a panther.
Okay.
I think that feels intuitively correct.
Good.
Jalen Brown is gonna walk around with a panther, like
His
slinking around
sneakers have the
stealthily.
panther spots.
Yeah. Derek White gets a raven, and it's gonna sit on his shoulder. Ravens are one of the smartest animals in the world. I'm reading a book about ravens right now. Um, Brilliant. They see the game way ahead of time. They recognize patterns before other creatures do. I think that speaks to Derek White's game. Neemias Queta is getting a Cape Buffalo. One of the largest, most intimidating creatures I can imagine. And I also feel like Neemias Queta would be very gentle with his Cape Buffalo, and I think they would have a great relationship. Um, Anthony Simons is getting a flying fox bat.
Specific.
Yeah, it's silent. It flies very silently. It has very, very good eyesight. It's not a bat that relies on, you know, it either really does or really doesn't rely on echolocation. Either way, it's a very good. It's not a hunter because it eats mostly fruit, but I just feel like it spoke to me when I thought of Anthony Simons. Um, Hugo Gonzalez. This one I like a lot. Hugo is getting a river otter. Surprisingly strong creatures, but also very crafty. They've learned to use tools. They use rocks to crack open like clams and mussels to
Should
eat.
we be concerned
No, it's just
that river
Hugo's
otters are starting to learn to use tools?
no,
Have you
no,
seen Planet
because
of the Apes? Because this doesn't end well.
I would be okay with the river otters trying to listen. I think frankly, this is unrelated. I thought about this for Ugo. I think we should be more concerned about raccoons, which are humans are selectively evolving raccoons by creating tougher to get into trash cans, so only the smartest raccoons survive. So we are like rapidly, much faster than evolution intended, creating like super smart raccoons. Um,
What kills us first, AI or Super Raccoon?
I'm really excited to find out. I know which one's cuter. Um, So Ugo's getting river otters because they're also playful and like fun and young, and
Yeah,
that
he has
feels
a
like it suits
chaotic
him.
energy that I feel like a river otter
Yeah,
could match.
yeah. Speaking of chaotic energy, Peyton Pritchard, you know he's a honey badger. He's a honey badger guy.
Yeah.
So that again, just
I
self-explanatory.
don't know
He's
how that would
he's
go in the house though. Like I feel like his spirit animal is a
Peyton
honey badger.
Pritchard and his honey badger are gonna wrestle all the time, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Joe Mazzulla and his wolf, which I don't think will be like a gentle relationship, but will be a loving one. Um, Sam Hauser, this one I like a lot. Sam Hauser is getting a red-eyed tree frog. Um, Looks kind of unassuming, deadly hunter. Absolutely pinpoint accurate when it's trying to catch a fly. So the red-eyed tree frog is up there for Sam Hauser. It's a sniper. I also just kind of could see him getting really into his red-eyed tree frog pet.
I feel like he also needs like a low maintenance pet. Like a lot of these
Yeah.
guys, you're assuming they're willing to put in like a lot of work on
What are you talking
their.
about? Nemes Kada and his Cape Buffalo? All he
Yeah, the
has to do
Cape
is let it
Buffalo
graze.
is gonna. You're gonna
Yeah.
if you get a Cape Buffalo, you need to like have like special brushes and like dandruff care
Let me
and
ask you
like
something. Do they have brushes for Cape Buffalo in the wild?
they rub up against like trees, I think.
Yeah, Nemes Kada can get a backyard with trees.
That's a big backyard.
Yeah. He's making, well, he's
Well,
actually, he
listen,
hasn't gotten his extension yet. So
yeah, I
it's a
don't
good
know if he's
point.
got Cape Buffalo money. I'm just saying, I feel like Sam Hauser doesn't want to invest in that amount of gear for a pet, so I
Yeah.
could
So
see
I
him
think
as
a
a
red-eyed
frog
tree
guy.
frog
Yeah.
is right up his alley. Um, Luca Garza. What would you guess for Luca Garza?
I would say like golden retriever. It's got to be
Okay.
unusual. Like it can't be a golden retriever.
It
That's
can't be
against
a
the
golden
rules.
retriever. When you think of Luca Garza as a basketball player, what North American land mammal comes to mind?
A grizzly bear?
Uh, no, I don't think he's got the aggressiveness. Grizzly bears, I love bears. Black bears are adorable little angels. Grizzly bears are assholes, and they will fight just to fight, and they're not very nice. Luca Garza's getting a moose, a
Oh,
full
okay.
moose. Yeah, and I think a moose suits Luca Garza wonderfully. Kind of lanky, awkward looking, but like shockingly huge and powerful when you see it in person. Um, so Luca Garza gets a moose. Jordan Walsh gets a mountain goat. And I think that is just like, it's very like, you're always watching a video of it climbing a mountain. You're like, oh my God, every 5 seconds you're having a heart attack. But it's very nimbly, just like navigating it very skillfully. Like, it's just,
Does he
it's
also
got,
need to own a mountain now?
no, he's just
Wait,
got to
okay.
like build an enclosure with a whole lot
Cute.
of things to climb up and jump on and all that. And I think he could honestly have fun doing it with his mountain goat. Just doing like some lateral, like vertical movement
They could
drills.
do agility stuff together.
Yeah, I think he could learn a lot from his mountain goat about agility stuff. So that's Jordan Walsh. I think I'm gonna save Baylor Shireman for last.
The
So
suspense. I've the whole time I was just wondering what Baylor Shireman is because you hinted at it. But
yeah, so Josh Minot is getting a kangaroo.
I like that. I like that
Yeah,
for
I
him.
think like the long legs, the ability to jump.
I do think that Joe Mazzulla will be disappointed that Josh Minot gets a kangaroo.
Why do you
Like,
think that?
because he sees a lot of himself in Josh Minot. And he's like, should have gotten a wolf, you know?
Yeah,
Not
I don't
strong
see
enough. He doesn't. He's
Minot.
not strong enough to build a relationship with a wolf.
Here's the thing: is I don't know that Josh Minot is. I think Josh Minot is also just a little bit too. I think Josh Minot's a little bit too fun to get a wolf. If you get it, like Joe Mazzulla is a very serious guy, and I think that's what will enable him to really connect with his wolf. I think Josh Minot is gonna hang out with his kangaroo and watch movies together, and like he's gonna watch Kangaroo Jack with his kangaroo and think it's hilarious, and
I
I love
think
that for him.
this is the first one I'm gonna push back on because I think this is a posture comparison. I think Josh Minot has the posture of a kangaroo, where he kind of sticks his butt out and looks ready to jump all the time. And it's very kangaroo-ish, but I don't know that means he'll get along well with a kangaroo.
I see a kangaroo as one of, and I've seen some videos from Australia, and they are not always nice. They do fight. They
They're
will
jacked.
box. Yeah, I think Josh Minot would have a ton of fun with a kangaroo. I do think at some point he's gonna show up with a black eye that's not from Joe Mazzulla Fight Club, and he's not gonna be willing to explain it. And he's gonna say you should see the other guy, but like a tear's gonna slide down because his kangaroo is sitting in his lazy boy at home. Uh,
Using his remote, drinking out of his.
yeah. Yeah, so I think that would be fun for Josh Minot. Xavier Tillman, this is one of the ones I really
You
just
went deep into this
enjoy.
roster.
I did,
Yep.
yeah. Everybody except Boucher and Amari Williams, I think. Xavier Tillman is gonna get an alligator snapping turtle. I don't know if you've ever seen an alligator snapping turtle.
Half alligator, half snapping turtle.
Almost in how terrifying it is. It has a bite force that has a PSI of 1,000. Um, it can grow. They can grow to over 200 pounds. The largest recorded verified example is like 240 pounds. They can live for like 100 years. So there's like an ancient kind of dinosaur vibe. Their mouth is terrifying. It doesn't have like teeth like an alligator, but it's like a hooked beak that like can sever an arm if it bites through. Um, and it just gives off kind of like ancient. It doesn't look like it moves particularly fast, but when it clamps down, holy cow. They can be like over 2 feet long. Like if you ever see somebody like with an alligator snapping turtle, they have to like they need multiple people to pick it up. Like it's an unwieldy like giant behemoth of ancient earth. So I was like, yeah, Xavier Tillman for sure.
It's just an old,
Um,
it's old
yeah,
joke.
yeah. It feels like a very like unk thing of like he's gonna be wearing his Kirkland brand jeans, riding on his
We've
John
been
Deere
so
tractor.
mean to Xavier Tillman on this
This
podcast.
was your bit. You
Yes.
gave him the
We
Kirkland
don't
brand
need,
jeans
we don't need to
endorsement.
keep bullying Xavier Tillman.
Yeah.
Listen,
So he gets.
Xavier Tillman
I
needs
gave
to
him a
play
cool pet. Okay.
basketball more than we make fun of him.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
He is available to be made fun of more than he is available to play basketball. I will put it that way. Um, so he gets an alligator snapping turtle, and finally we get to Baylor Shireman. Baylor Shireman does not get a lizard. Doesn't suit him. Baylor Shireman gets a a hellbender salamander, North America's largest salamander. Grows to almost 2 feet long. It is slimy and wet and lives sometimes on land and sometimes in water. And as far as I know, is not particularly useful or good at most things.
One, I just want to say I was close. Like I kind of
You
knew,
were really
I
close when you
knew where
said
this was
lizard.
going.
I
Like
was like, okay, I
you were
know
gonna
that
give
like
him some
animal.
weird kid pet.
Yeah.
Um, you floated a version of this bit a while back where we would assign them each a Pokemon
Yeah.
that they would be. The only one I came up with was one for Baylor Shireman, which I think he would be Hitmontop, which is the
Oh,
Capoeira Pokemon.
yeah.
It only really works if you have other Hitmon type cards out with it, so it only works in certain lineups. And
Yep.
then it's also wearing a t-shirt while doing a sport where you're not typically wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, Baylor
Um,
Shireman gives huge like white t-shirt underneath his basketball jersey energy,
he
and I
doesn't give
think
that type energy. He just does
he
that.
does that.
He
Yeah.
does that specific thing.
Yeah, he's 25 years old and still like kind of I think he wears a shirt at the beach if we're being honest. Uh,
Should we discuss your hatred of Baylor Shireman and where it comes from?
I really don't know.
Because Xavier
um
Tillman's a bit like Xavier
Yeah,
Tillman off
I love
camera,
Xavier Tillman, and that's why I gave him a cool ass pet.
but
He's got
even
a
when we're not
dinosaur
recording.
turtle. Listen, I am a Celtics fan, and I want nothing but the best for Baylor Shireman. I just don't want it necessarily while he's playing basketball in a Celtics uniform when it could be any of our other wings out there. Um, he gets a Hellbender Salamander. I don't know what you want from me. I think that's a good pet for him.
Listen, I don't have anything against salamanders. I just think you're making an implication about salamander kids. Uh,
Salamanders are cool. Like axolotls are rad as fuck. I I don't know. That was what came to mind when I was like, what weird pet would Baylor Sharman have? And it's like he would have a hellbender salamander. It would be it'd be as long as his arm, and it would just curl up in there, and that would be how Baylor Sharman lives his life.
I think Baylor
I'm
Shireman.
really losing it, guys. It's almost midnight, and I've had a beer, and I'm just it was a fun win, and you
Can I
know,
can I throw out mine for Baylor Shireman?
yeah.
Because I think he'd have a spider monkey. And
Okay,
I think
I don't know. I thought you were gonna say unicorn.
no, because he would be like one of the background characters in Tiger King
Yep.
with kind of like the patchy goatee monkey on his shoulder, and he would like show up for one episode to like sell Tiger King a gun or something. That would be his involvement in the exotic pet world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's that he feels a little shady to me. I think that's part of it. And there's something about his energy I just don't trust intuitively, and that's listen. At the end of the day, we love the Boston Celtics and we want the best for all of their players. And Baylor Shireman didn't have a bad game tonight. And maybe he even earned himself some playing time in the next game, and I will cope with that emotionally when it comes, and
And it's
everything will be
very important
fine.
we spend 40 minutes talking about a guy who averages 6 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
It's truly what this podcast is all about. All right, I think we can leave it there.
Yeah,
Thank you all for listening. Find us on socials, all that good stuff.
yeah.
We'll see
Get
you
K
next
to
time.
Cape Buffalo.